Hey everyone, welcome back to another League video, and for today I'm bringing you episode 4 of broken abilities no one talks about. I know I made a lot of episodes in recent time, but by the time you see this I'm actually going to be in Japan for a while, so I'm kinda scrabbling to make a lot of content before I leave. I still want to keep making videos for you guys to watch during lunch break, hope you don't mind. But anyway, this episode should be an interesting one, so just like last time we're gonna go through another 7 or so abilities. Let's get started. You know, in my eyes, I consider this to be one of the most overpowered utility skills in the game, but the more I think about it, I don't think it's really anyone else's, or at least not to the extent I believe it should be. Graves is one of the most well-known junglers in League, especially in high elo, notorious for being a strong power farming jungler, a decent ganker, and very much in the category of 1v9 champions. I don't know a single challenger jungler who doesn't play Graves even a little. Most are quick to point to his damage output or the ridiculous durability he can acquire on quick draw, but I for one think Smokescreen carries some of the best skill expression of any utility spell in the game, and it's also one of the most annoying abilities in the game. When fired, Graves damages and briefly slows all enemies in the area before covering the circle in a cloud of smoke, causing all enemies inside the smoke to lose sight of anything outside of it, effectively turning everything outside the radius into a brush for enemy champions. Why this ability is so overpowered is because not only can you no longer see anything outside the smoke while in it, which is a bad thing in and of itself, but you also can't select anything, meaning any point and click abilities you'd want to use on Graves or someone else are no longer usable until you regain sight of them. However, if you know anything about Fog of War and line of sight, you can actually mess up your opponent's ability to auto-attack you or hit you with the aforementioned point and click stuff, leading into it being way more frustrating than it should. Often I'd rather just get hit by a Lux Q than have to deal with Graves' W. I can't tell you how many times I get nearsighted by a smoke screen and try to stun him with like Renekton W or try to use Darius' ultimate on him only for me to lose vision of him, so I can't, and then I had to walk out of it, which gives him just enough time to either run away or kill me before I kill him. Even a split second's enough to throw you off completely in a fight. Bit of a hot take, but I consider Smokescreen to be just as powerful as an ability like Windwall, Twilight Shroud, or Soul Unbound. Next ability will be Naafiri's Q, Darkin daggers. ADC players are annoyed by Hound's pursuit being a long-range point-and-click dash, meanwhile attackers are annoyed by her newfound slipperiness thanks to Call of the Pack. But I'm surprised hardly anyone is bitching about Darkin daggers, because this might be one of the most overtuned abilities in the game in a vacuum. For starters, you can cast it twice, which means a lot of potential damage. Second, it's a penetrating skill shot that does full damage to all targets, compared to say Razor Shuriken, which does half damage to enemies beyond the first. In other words, you can poke champions through their wave. Third, if Naafiri hits a champion with bulk Qs, she heals a good amount of HP per champion hit. You can heal from multiple. Fourth, the actual damage of this move. Assuming you land the full power of it, her Q can do 370 base plus 240 bonus AD in total damage. Granted, the target would already have to be near dead for you to get the full damage, but keep in mind just how much Darkin daggers offers. It's like an overpowered version of ZQ. Factored in the context of Naafiri's kit, her Q not only serves as a wave clear tool, but it gives her a neutral game, a decently strong one at that. You have to remember, tagging enemy champions with their Q will cause all pack mates to jump on them as if it were Yorick's Morning Mist, adding even more damage. Also, if your opponent relies on non-penetrative skill shots to deal damage, Mundo Q, Lux Q, and have you, her dogs can block those shots, acting as a means of cover fire. Darkin daggers is also a semi-execute, doing huge amounts of damage on low health enemies. The extra healing gives her lane sustain and the ability to keep fighting even if she's somewhat injured, all on a 5-second cooldown ability, an extremely effective attack all around that contributes to Naafiri's pressure at all stages of the game. I still don't think an assassin should be allowed to have a neutral game this strong. Moving on though, let's discuss another low-key ability that does more than you think it would, Gangplank's Trial by Fire. Gangplank has no shortage of annoying abilities. People hate Parley for being a point-and-click harass tool, they hate W because anyone who depends on crowd control to engage or trade suddenly can't do that. Powder Keg is a zoning tool that can also one-shot you if you're not good at breaking barrels before he does, and nowadays GP mains are really good at timing Qs on barrels. You get the point. I don't know a single person complaining about Trial by Fire though. Do you guys realize how strong this passive is? Every so often GP gets to deal a big true damage dot to targets and attain a burst of movement speed. The scaling is a direct 1-to-1 in bonus AD, so GP has 300 bonus AD, that's 300 bonus true damage on top of the base amount. Each instance of his passive could do well over 500 damage, no small amount. One application Trial by Fire isn't the problem though, it's when GP gets multiple on you. During any given fight, if he spaces out his barrel procs with autos, GP can easily put 3, possibly 4 procs of his passive on you, amounting to thousands in true damage over time. People get fixated on trying to avoid the barrel explosions. Rightfully so, I might add. Have you seen the number of clips on YouTube of them literally one-shotting people? Even so, do not forget about Trial by Fire. If you're wondering why even through tons of armor, GP's annihilating your health bar, it's because people tend to forget this guy does true damage on autos with every barrel reset. He is a hell of a lot harder to 1v1 in melee range than people give him credit for. I think you can sort of notice a trend by now with this episode. It talks about abilities that tend to get overlooked as a result of another ability taking up a lot of attention in a champion's kit. Same applies to Nasus. Everyone and their mothers hates Wither. I get it. I'm a top laner. I hate it too. I also hate that Nasus can perma-sustain if he's able to auto-attack stuff. But one thing I myself am guilty of neglecting is Spirit Fire. This move is definitely one of those hidden OP things people forget about. If you remember in the last episode, I talked about how Karthus' W, Wall of Pain, is broken not because of the slow or the vision on it, not by themselves anyway, but the MR shred that comes with it, especially on account of how unnoticeable it is unless you literally pay attention to your stat window. Spirit Fire is of the same class. It may not come with the slow, but it does come with vision, meaning you can cast D to scout for enemies and brushes if you need to. Moreover, it does quite a bit of damage, 340 base plus 120% AP if you stand in it the entire time. Mind you, AP Nasus is and always has been a noob trap, but occasionally when you go Doran's Ring in lane, Nasus can be quite a frustrating lane bully to go up against. That's not why I'm complaining about this move though. Look at the armor reduction. Long ago it used to shred flat armor 20 to 40. Pretty good, but by no means anything to pee your pants over. However, in 7.15 it was made to lower percent armor 10 to 35. Thing is, over the years they've continued to buff it to where it now sits at a staggering 30 to 50% armor reduction to all enemies in the area, bar none the highest innate armor reduction on a champion. Considering how big of an area Spirit Fire hits, Nasus can nuke the enemy team for thousands in gold value if there's a lot of armor on their team. So basically, Spirit Fire is a dangerous ability not because of the dog himself, rather what it can mean for the rest of his party. Imagine getting hit by Spirit Fire, then getting black cleavered by the jungler, and then the ADC is LDR. Not even Malphite can stand up to that kind of shred. If you're fighting Nasus and Dora's team, make sure you get out of Spirit Fire ASAP. That thing does more than you think it does. Our next ability is a personal favorite of mine because I think it's just a really well-made ability. We have Warwick C, Primal Howl. Very simple yet very effective. On cast, Warwick takes 35 to 55% less incoming damage for up to 25 seconds. Afterwards, he fears all enemies around him for 1 second. Now before I discuss the strength of this move, I just want to say we need more trade-off type abilities. Warwick's able to recast his E early to get the fear off, but he loses the damage mitigation, so you can decide whether to hold off on the fear to get the full value out of his E, or use the fear early as a means of lockdown. Speaking of which, let's start by acknowledging just how broken unconditional damage reduction is. At rank 1 it's 35%, at rank 5 it's 55% for 2.5 seconds. We're talking about more than halving all damage taken, and unlike other mitigation abilities like Irelia and Cassante W, Warwick is able to keep doing whatever he wants to do. It's no cast time, and the dynamic reactivation time is partly the reason why Warwick is one of Fior's hardest, if not the hardest counter in top lane. He can bait up Fior's W by intentionally holding off on recasting E, or he can recast it early to surprise the Fiora player. Lots of mix up there. Then let's not forget the actual recast, an AoE 1 second fear, effectively a stun. Never a bad thing. One of the biggest reasons why I think Primal Howl is so strong is the psychological advantage it gives him. No one wants to willingly blow their entire combo on him when they know he can just nerf their damage, just like how they tell you to bait out Pantheon E or Irelia W before using her stuff. At the same time, Warwick's allowed to attack you freely, which you also don't want, but if you try to engage on him, he can just recast D and fear you. Primal Howl has a lot more value to it both as an attacking and retreating tool. I get that Jaws of the Beast and Bloodhunt are more pressing things to be mindful of, but Primal Howl is a really damn good ability in its own right. Honestly, Warwick is just a well-made champion, without question one of the best reworks of all time. Second to last ability I want to go over will be Jarvan Z, Demacian Standard. Now I know what you're gonna say, what do you mean no one complains about this ability? What most people don't like about concerning Z is the knockup that comes with the EQ combo, but technically speaking that's a property of his Q, not his E. All Demacian Standard does is offer bonus attack speed, and when casted, he puts a flag down at a point to do a tiny bit of magic damage and provide a bonus attack speed buff to everyone in the party on top of himself. EQ combo aside, what needs to be appreciated about this ability is the utility it gives, which often gets overlooked in my opinion. By the way, pro tip, anytime you get autofill jungle, just pick J4. This guy's guaranteed to have 80% kill participation or higher by virtue of his E. If any of his teammates gets affected by the massive 1000 radius attack speed aura the flag offers, he instantly qualifies for an assist. Apart from that, 30% bonus attack speed to the entire party is why everyone bought Bandle Pipes when it first came out. 30% is 750 gold in attack speed. Given to the entire team, which he can easily do in light of the aura size, amounts to 3750 in gold for his team just by pressing the E button. To be fair, those supports don't actually care for attack speed, so that's not actually 3750 in meaningful gold, but point being, it's a fantastic teamfight buff option, not just a way for him to knock up enemies. Finally, Demacian Standard gives full vision of the area, equivalent to a ward, and with an 860 cast range, death rushing J4's team is straight up impossible. He can scout for enemies over walls or in brushes without having to walk up close, making it fantastic for macro and vision control. I still think Maokai's sapling toss wins out in that regard, but free vision makes a ton of difference, especially since you can only place down so many wards. Practically speaking, Demacian Standard's an 8-second ward with infinite uptime if you build even 20 ability haste, and enemies can't break it either. Despite that, it's still a selectable entity, meaning you can teleport to it, or Katarina, Lee Sin, and Briar can jump to it, so on and so forth. Way more utility than meets the eye. For our last ability, we have a rather unconventional choice, but I wanted to include it because I feel like a lot of players are completely unaware that the ability itself carries notable merit to Jayce's kit. Transform. Yes, the stance change. Being two abilities, I figure we should talk about both, beginning with Transform Mercury Hammer. Hammer form causes him to gain bonus armor and DMR based on a flat amount plus bonus AD, and no small amount either. Usually by late game, Jayce gets anywhere between 50 to 60 of each, making him bulkier than you would think. Also, his next attack does bonus magic damage. That's all well and good, but I want to mostly talk about Mercury Cannon. The next basic attack after switching to range form shreds the enemy target's armor and DMR by 35%. A fairly recent change actually, I believe 16.3 to be exact. Jayce's ultimate used to be pretty mediocre when it only shredded armor and MR by 10 to 25%. Not that 25% armor and MR is insignificant, but with the way defense calculations work, correct me if I'm wrong, but one source of 30 is better than 3 sources of 10% each because of them stacking multiplicatively on each other. Increasing his cannon shred from 25 to 35% at level 16 is a very big deal, and it can make Jayce do an insane amount of DPS with this combo. Just like with Spiritfire, however, it's not so much Jayce himself that derives value from this ability, rather the fact that it's reduction, not penetration. Generally speaking, lowering enemy defenses are more beneficial than increasing your penetration, because every member of your team can take advantage of it. And in Jayce's case, with this plus typically he builds a Black Cleaver or Cyrildas, Jayce doesn't do too badly against bulky champions. You could tell if a Jayce player is good when they always hold out their first auto attack to use it on you instead of a minion. But yeah, if you're wondering why it feels like he does so much DPS to you even if you have like a ninja tabby or something, it's the shred. Most high elo players know this, but I don't think many people truly appreciate just how meaningful of a buff that was. Alrighty, and that concludes episode 4 of Broken Abilities No One Talks About. As always, you're welcome to leave your thoughts in the comments down below, along with any abilities you think should be in the next episode. In the meantime though, I'm gonna enjoy my vacation, so if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you'd like to like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Vars, join my Discord server, and check out my other Broken Abilities episodes if you haven't yet. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.